KFSR and CMAC present the Central Valley Ledger, a public affairs program featuring stories from all over the Central Valley with Sevag Tateosian, 90.7 KFSR.
I'm your host, Sevag Tateosian. Welcome to the Central Valley Ledger, formerly San Joaquin Spotlight. Our guest this week is from Catholic Charities. Her name is Jody Hudson. Welcome to the program.
Thank you for having me. It's great seeing you.
Great seeing you. It's been a while since we've talked.
I know.
We were just talking off air about years ago an experience we had in November at a Catholic Charities food drive. Tell us a little bit about
River Park Food Drive. So that's when you were working at United Way, and great community partner, and we had been talking a little bit before the event, and you said, you know what, our team would love to get involved in that. So you guys showed up at River Park there on a Thursday afternoon. It was beautiful weather when you showed up, but a couple hours later, the dark clouds started coming in, and boom. So yes, I just remember this visual of you hanging on to dear life to our canopy because it was going to get blown over. And I looked at you and I said, you know what? You really are a good partner. Because you would not go. I said, you can go, really, seriously, we'll close up. You're like, nope, we're here to the bitter end.
I remember the canopy was getting ready to fly off on that one.
Oh my God, yes.
You know, Catholic Charities Diocese, events like that where there are food drives and stuff, how important are those events for you?
So they are so important for us for so many reasons. First of all, you know, the apparent reason is getting the donations, the food, cash to support our programs and services. But there's other, you know, reasons that go behind us doing these events. Community awareness, getting the community involved, and I really, you know, thank Tracy Cashin years ago for having belief in Catholic Charities, because nobody else had ever gone out there before and, you know, did a 4-day food drive out there in River Park. I mean, God forbid we should take up, you know, good parking spaces from the shoppers. And she said, you know what? I really want to help you guys out. Park the truck out here and let's see what we can do. So that, you know, was what, 6-7 years ago, and every November, God bless us, you know, then they let us come out there and do that. So, you know, that community awareness, the getting the students involved from the schools to come out there. It might be their first time getting exposure, volunteering, doing something, giving back. We have the kids out there in the street corners, so, you know, holding up signs, you know, asking, you know, for money and donations. So it's teaching them how vital it is to be connected to your community and to volunteer.
Well, this is a perfect segue, because as you and I talk, there are students in the studio and behind the cameras helping produce this program. So I agree with you. Valuable asset is to partner with the students, and you know their names are going to be appearing at the end in the credits, so check out who's helping out today's program. You know, before we get more involved in the conversation on Catholic Charities, I want to talk a little bit about you.
Okay.
I've known you for a while through Catholic Charities, and you know, you want to give back to your community. Why? I mean, you could easily be doing something else, being highly successful doing something else, but you stay with Catholic Charities. Why?
So, very interesting question. I was in retail for 20 plus years. I moved to Fresno in 1989 and started Talbot's in Fig Garden Village. So retail was really my roots, my framework. I have 2 children, and so I took a little bit of hiatus when my second child was born. And I started back to work full-time when she went into kindergarten. And I was doing some sales and a little bit of retail, and I just really felt, I think the impact of being a parent, you're a father, I'm a mother, that impact that you know, start thinking about what you're doing and how you can contribute not only to the community, but being a really good role model for your children. And I stumbled upon Catholic Charities. I came on as a guild member, actually, because I wasn't working full-time. It was just part-time, so I had a little bit of volunteer time on my hands. So I came on as a guild member. I'd never seen Catholic Charities before, didn't really know anything about it. And I took a tour, and it was just one of those moments where I just thought, I need to do more. This is it. So luckily they said, you know what, we have a position in the thrift store and in the food pantry. If you want to apply for it, you know, let's see what happens. Well, of course I had the retail experience, so thrift store, no problem. food pantry. I didn't know anything. So I know how to eat food. I don't know anything about running the food pantry, but God had a plan for me, and here I am 8 years later. So I guess they like me.
Well, and on behalf of the community, thank you, Jill and Kelly and the rest of the team. It's amazing to see such great talent work for nonprofit organizations. I'm so touched by that. I mean, you three and the rest of the team could easily be making a lot more money doing a lot of other things.
This is true. But as you and I were talking about before, money's not everything. You have to be satisfied with your performance at the end of the day. It's not necessarily a paycheck. What have you done to give back? What have you done to contribute to the community, to yourself, personal growth? And you're right, I work with a very talented team. I'm blessed to have an amazing executive director, finance director, and the rest of our staff. We really, God has done a great job putting this puzzle together, all these pieces, how they just fit, and how all of our strengths work together to make such an amazing team.
And the reason I want to talk about that, or I wanted to talk about that, is because you're running around everywhere. I emailed you the other day.
Yes.
You the other day, and you said, I'm in Merced right now. We'll talk to you later. And the next day, you were somewhere else. So, you're all over the place. What gives you the energy to do it?
My staff, my volunteers, and most importantly, my clients. When I get a hug from a client because we were able to help them, because maybe that they had no more food in their cupboard and their children are looking at them like, Mom and Dad, what are we supposed to do? Where are we going to get food? And if I can help just in a little bit to ease their pain during the day, that completes me. That just makes me so happy, just being able to help others. But we run around crazy. In fact, they always tease me at work. They hear the clippity-clop in my heels. They're like, oh no, here she comes, get to work. But I love it. I just get so energized at work just by what we do.
How hard are times for people right now out there? I mean, I drive by Catholic Charities all the time when I go to work, and sometimes there's a long line out there.
Yes.
Before we talk about what that long line is, how tough is it out there really for folks?
Well, just to give you an idea, number-wise, we serve over 100 families a day with emergency food and clothing services. It's tough. They're struggling. A lot of families come to us, and if it weren't for us, they wouldn't be able to have food. They wouldn't be able to have clothing. They, have to choose between prescriptions, medications, paying PG&E, paying the rent, all those other things that you and I just, we grumble about when we write out the check and we pay it, but at least we're able to pay it. These people, they have no funds to pay a lot of these things.
Basic necessities. Are we seeing a lot of people in the Valley have issues meeting basic necessities?
Absolutely. In fact, that's why I was on campus today, because Fresno State with Betsy Hayes, they did a Share a Pair campaign, which brought Marjorie Mason Center and Catholic Charities together, and it was a collection for new socks and underwear for children. People don't realize the basic necessities, and I get goosebumps as I just talk about this right now. People don't realize basic necessities of socks and underwear, what that does to child self-esteem. They're going to school, and it's like, which doesn't fit in this picture? They're feeling like they're, not one of the gang here because they don't have those basic necessities. If we can just do a small little thing to give someone self-esteem and self-confidence, then we've accomplished a lot in our job.
This is a perfect segue into a program that you have called Share a Pair. What is that about?
So Share a Pair, that was designed by Betsy Hayes' Fresno State PR students, and they basically took this campaign and ran with it. They did everything with social media. They went out and got donations for us. It was a 30-day, just like really gangbusters, go out, create awareness for Marjorie Mason Center, for Catholic Charities, but specifically for children that don't have the basic necessities of socks and underwear. And they did a great job. Their goal was to receive 500 pairs of new socks and underwear, and they tripled it. So it was just great community awareness on their part. And Betsy Hayes is just amazing. She did such a great job with these students, so kudos to her.
Where does the food come from that you give away?
So it comes from largely Community Food Bank. We do purchase food at Community Food Bank prices. They also donate to us as well. Food drives, of which you are a seasoned veteran of food drives, helping us with that. So it comes from a variety of different organizations, churches. Every month we have our Catholic Charities truck out at St. Anthony's and Holy Spirit, and the parishioners graciously donate to us, also by cash. So we have a lot of great community partners helping us out with that.
Is everybody welcome to receive the food? I mean, what does the intake process look like?
Yes. So here's the thing. We're never going to turn you away first time if you come to Catholic Charities. You come to Catholic Charities, you're making $80,000 a year, but you know what? You just had a really hard month. You know, times are tough. That month is tough. We'll give you that one-time service. But for continuing services, you need to have a couple of things. You need to have proof of ID, you need to have proof of address, and you need to have proof of income. A lot of the EFSP funding that we received is attached to the Federal Poverty Income Guidelines, so we have to check that income to make sure that we are giving it to those who are truly in need. But once again, if you come to us for one time, we will serve you through our food pantry. There's 2 other programs that you can come to Catholic Charities and receive food, and that we don't question your income level. And that would be, you're talking about the long lines.
Yeah.
That would be the 4th Thursday of each month, our neighborhood market, and then the 2nd Monday of each month, our USDA commodities. And those are self-signature. You just sign in a sheet, and then you can receive food. So that's different from our food pantry setup. We're busy.
You have a lot of things going on.
And that's just food.
We'll talk about
Yeah.
those kind of things. You know, my first experience with Catholic Charities was I was a student here at Fresno State, and we needed to do an internship. So I went to Catholic Charities, and I started handing out food on one of these days where you had the big long line.
Yeah.
Are you looking for volunteers?
We always are looking for volunteers. We love our volunteers. I mean, this was volunteer, appreciation month. Well, last month it was, and we had a really nice brunch for our volunteers. We, so much of our services and what we provide, we would not be able to provide as much or such great quality if we didn't have our wonderful volunteers. They really make it for us, whether it be an intake, whether it be passing out the food, whether it be in the thrift store. We really rely upon our volunteers.
Sometimes people will say, instead of donating $10, I'll donate a box of fruit, which is fine, but does the money donations go further for you than if I were to go to a store and buy something?
Absolutely, and that was what I talked about earlier with Community Food Bank, because we can purchase it, say 19 cents a pound, versus you going and paying the retail prices for it. So when we say, yes, we do accept donations, but it's better to give us cash. That is because we can get a bigger bang for our buck. And I have to let you know that we are so proud of our finances and our where we are right now as an agency. 90 cents of every donated dollar goes right back into our programs and services. If you check out any community benefit organization on Charity Navigator or any of those sites, 90 cents of a dollar is pretty much unheard of.
That's unbelievable.
Yeah. So we are very, very good stewards of our donated dollars.
Sometimes, the food you give away, a lot of people will think, oh, it's just rice and beans or something like that. But, there's some very generous donors out there, and sometimes you give away some very impressive things. In your experience, what has been the item that you've seen you give away that made you say, wow, this is very good?
Well, I've been there 8 years. When I first came on board, we were, as we are now, very, tight with our budget and being very good stewards of donated dollars. But we really wanted to make sure that we were giving our families good nutritional food. So top ramen, no longer, all those, type of things that aren't really good in your, daily nutritional food guide. So we really made a conscious effort to start, giving protein, peanut butter, chicken. We want to make sure that a family that comes to us, they can go home with the staple items, the rice, beans, pasta, that sort of thing, but we want to make sure they've got those protein items as well, because so much of the hunger and the lack of food goes into, not doing well in school. It's a whole domino effect, and we are very aware of that. So we want to make sure that everything that goes in that food bag is really good stuff.
Should a family be hesitant to come to Catholic Charities? I mean, a while back there was this, misconception that, oh, if you're going to Catholic Charities for food, you haven't made it in life. Mm-hmm. Do we still have that, and what can you talk about that?
Sure. So it is very humbling as an individual, as a parent, to have to go somewhere and ask for food, to basically expose yourself and say, I don't have enough money to provide for myself or my family. We at Catholic Charities understand that, and so we make sure that every person that walks through that door is treated with respect and treated with dignity. We don't ever want anybody to feel ashamed that here they're coming in to ask for services and they're not treated in a kind, respectful manner. So we really are sensitive to that because it took a lot to walk through that door just to begin with.
How easy is it for some of us to be in the situation of some of the clients? I don't think people understand that we're one illness, most of us are one illness, one catastrophe away from being comfortable to being in poverty. What can you talk about that?
You know, that, all I can say is amen to that, because I know so many people that you could be out to dinner with them and then next month they've lost their home, they've lost their job, everything, the ceiling is just, fallen out. So I think that, we just have to be very mindful of everyone, because you can't really judge a book by its cover. You don't know what that person is going through. So I really, again, getting back to that dignity and respect, we treat everybody that way because you just don't know that person's story, and it's not for us to judge. I mean, some people will say, when I first started working at Catholic Charities, oh my gosh, I can't believe we just gave that person food. Did you see the car they drove up in? It was an SUV, Cadillac. That's, nicer than my home. Guess what? That could be their house. You have no idea. So it's not really for us to judge. It's for us to do the work.
I want to shift gears and talk about your thrift store.
Mm-hmm.
In my younger days, I was in better shape and I had some suits that fit me better than they do now, for the record. And so I gave away suits to Catholic Charities, and I know they went to a great home. Your thrift store, do you accept clothing from people?
We sure do. So our thrift store is just a little jewel, and if people haven't checked it out or donated to us, they really need to. And it's part of our facility right there on Fulton Street. The thrift store is twofold. First of all, it is our clothing referral base. So when individuals come into Catholic Charities and they are there for food, they can also get clothing services. So they can go into the thrift store with a tag, and they get to choose. They get to shop for whatever clothing they might need for themselves, for their children. So that's one of the things. The other thing is it's open to the public Monday through Friday from 9 o'clock to 3:30. We have a really great, thriving thrift store. We can average anywhere from $6,000 to $8,000 a month in that thrift store, and that all goes back into our programs.
That's not bad, by the way. I mean,
not bad at all.
You come from retail, so
I know.
Doesn't that
trust
look good?
Me. Yes, especially when the items are like $2, $3. So we partner a lot with different builders. Wilson Homes, Bonadelli Homes, McCaffrey Homes. Sometimes we're able to get some of their furniture from their model homes donated to Catholic Charities, and then we can turn around and sell that, and again, it goes back into our programs and services.
How generous is this community? I mean, working in the nonprofit area is tough. I've been there, I've done that, and of course we all wish we had more money because of the challenges that we see. But how generous are community members? And the reason why I say that is one time I went to an event that Catholic Charities had, and the person throwing the event had donated all the food and the location, and I thought this was a very nice person that did this. So what can you tell us about the generosity of our community?
I love our community. Our community always steps up. People want to give. They don't know all the time where to give to, how to give to. So if you make it easy for them and you say, this is my cause, this is my charity, you need to donate to this, and these are the reasons, X, Y, Z. You support that with good financial statements, 90 cents of every dollar. I mean, people will give if they do their homework and they check out the charity and the agency, and they say, okay, that's a mission to my heart, and also I know they have good financial records.
Sometimes people will say, I don't want to donate $5, $10 because that's too little. It won't go anywhere.
Not
what do you
true.
have to say to that?
when we're getting, purchasing food from the community food bank at 19 cents a pound, that $5-10 can feed a family, breakfast for a week or two. So every penny counts, every can counts, everything adds up.
There was a time where, when I worked at United Way, there was a program where I think it was individuals, I think you talked about it a little bit more, where they were given a coupon, they would go and shop for the clothing. What would their reaction be when they would go in and get this new clothing? Because, I've been to that thrift store. I've shopped at that thrift store myself.
My first week on the job, I got a beautiful pair of Coach shoes, my size, never been worn before. I still 8 years later have those. So I'm telling you, thrift store shopping is pretty neat.
Tell us about the reaction from parents when they get this clothes or this food, and now they can share it with their children.
So we talked about earlier about, the parents coming in and feeling very ashamed that they can't provide for their children. When they walk out and they have food, and the children have been able to shop at Catholic Charities and thrift store and get, clothes for back to school, for, their school needs, you just see like this whole weight of the world that's been lifted. And, tomorrow, the next day is going to come, and the problems are still going to be there. But for that short moment, they have relief, and that you can't put a price tag on.
Talk about Catholic Charities. I mean, you're involved in the Valley. That's a lot of people you serve. Mm-hmm. What are you seeing? How does Fresno County compare to some of the other counties? Are there families in all counties that are struggling like our families?
Yeah, so Catholic Charities Diocese of Fresno, we serve the Central Valley from Merced, Fresno to Bakersfield. So it's happening in Kern County, same thing that's happening in Fresno County. The drought has impacted everybody. So it's not, just little Fresno County, large Fresno County, I shouldn't say little Fresno County, but it's just not Fresno County, it's Central Valley.
And you're going exactly where I want to go, the drought. We've heard about it, we know that it's a big problem. Are you seeing families that are coming through now that hadn't been coming through before because of the drought?
Yes. For sure. We have seen, the face of poverty is different. It's the working poor. It's those individuals that were, that had jobs with ag and no longer do they have those jobs, because of the drought. So it really has changed as far as the, those individuals coming through our doors. It's tough.
When the holidays come up, do you all have special events or anything special around the holidays?
So starting in September and through January, it's just like a flash.
By the way, I like that holiday schedule. Bring it on.
Oh my gosh. So starting in September, we have our Harvest of Hope, which is our annual fundraiser. And that really is our biggest fundraiser for the year. So that starts in September. And then we go into the food drives, we go into the turkey drives, we just like go crazy. And it's fun because we get, to partner with, different TV stations, with different organizations. And I just love that whole collaboration that we do during the holidays.
Education. Do you all have any education for individuals that come in? Because for a time, I know that you are providing some financial education and other stuff there.
I am so glad you asked that question because we, for a couple of years, we've had our computer lab at Catholic Charities. It was with Dewey Square. We got a grant from them, and they provided us with 12 laptops, and we then started an MOU with State Center Community College, and we have a teacher there that helps with office prep classes. Our goal, and with this Harvest of Hope that's coming up in fall, our goal is to continue to raise money and funds to branch out with that computer lab and have it actually called like the Catholic Charities Education Center. Maybe do some GED classes. We want that self-sufficiency. We are going to continue to assist those people with food and clothing services, but we really want to get them to the next level. And how you're going to get them to the next level is by educating them and helping them to educate themselves.
We're running out of time this week on the program. Of course, I can talk for you for hours.
And I could talk forever and a day.
Why should people care? I mean, look, I have 2 kids. I have a full-time job. I've got a lot of things in my life. sometimes we have bad days. Why should we care about other people in our community?
We should care about other people in our community because you need to believe in your community. You need to give back to your community if you are blessed. And you need to, there are brothers and sisters. And like you said before, they're, by the grace of God, go I. I mean, our, whole life could change on a dime. So you never know. One day you could have it all and the next day it could be gone.
How can people find out more information about your organization? How can they be in touch with you? How can they find out how they can help you?
Yeah, so we have a website, www.ccdof.org. You can also call us at 237-0851, and we encourage people, come to Catholic Charities. You want a tour, you want to volunteer like you did, we will put you to work. I mean, it's just, we love having volunteers come and check us out because, believe me, once you see Catholic Charities, you will be hooked like I was.
Jody, thank you so much
Absolutely.
for coming on the program. It was nice seeing you, and I'll never forget the day we were out there, that cold November in the rain.
Oh my gosh, I know, crazy, huh?
But it was all for a great cause, and you know what? I would do it again like you would do it again.
You know it, for sure. Thank you for having me.
Thank you so much. That's all for this edition of the Central Valley Ledger, formerly San Joaquin Spotlight. We're in Studio A here at California State University, Fresno. Thank you to the students that are behind the cameras and in the studio making us look and sound good. We couldn't do this program without you. Thank you to our audience members listening to this broadcast on 90.7 FM, KFSR Fresno, and to those watching on Comcast 93 and AT&T 99, the CMAC channels. We hope that you enjoyed the program this week. Tune in next week to a new edition.
KFSR and CMAC present the Central Valley Ledger every Sunday morning at 11:30. For a complete program schedule, visit kfsr.org.